Okay, this is part 2 of the atheism and religion video. I got cut off by my camera. It bums me out because I was on a roll and I had something going here. Okay, so I had a point to all this. Animals that all evolved within their own realms, within their own guidelines, and all within their own environments to suit that environment and to match it. And in my opinion, and in the best judgment of my human ability, I would say that science cannot explain that unless it can find an invisible connection between things that allows, say, birds and flowers to co-evolve. A knowledge behind kind of that nature has a way of thinking. And then it takes it to the next realm. Well, nature has a way of thinking, then it has a way of creating and protecting itself, and will soon be able to prove scientifically that nature has its own consciousness. And the Gaia theory will basically be, in my opinion, the common ground. I mean, it should be just common knowledge between people that the earth is able to shake us off like fleas, and the earth evolves to fill in areas. It acts as an entity. So why is that not God? And that's my point. That's the whole point of it all. So it just pisses me off to no end that I see this. I see it seeping through. I see the end game, and I see the end result of all of this. I see that science is going to keep going and going and going and spinning their wheels until we've created everything we can possibly imagine. And meanwhile, dogmatic religion is going to sit on the back burner and waste their time away with the same old bullshit stories and books without putting any single effort into thinking deeper for themselves and trying to attain enlightenment and true awareness. Because there's nothing that pisses me off more than an ignorant religious fanatic or an ignorant atheist. The whole argument between the two sides just falls flat. And those of us in the middle are just sitting there going, what are you doing? There's nobody's better than anyone, and nobody's worse. We're all just people trying to get by. But I know in my heart that nature has a consciousness. It has a way of, and this is through years of deep thinking and lots of research, lots of reading. And it wasn't something that I just created in my own mind to suit my fancy or to relax and just go, okay, this is what I believe. Because it's actually, well, it's much more difficult now than it ever was. And someone said to me at work today, he said, it cracked me up. He said, have you ever noticed that the more you learn about construction, the less you realize you know? I mean, that's the epitome of how I live my life. That's it's just funny when I hear someone else say that, and as if because it's just so obvious. It's so within all of us. We all know that, because it's like the more you learn about a subject, the more you realize you fall flat. Therefore, don't learn too much about any one thing, or else you may be willing to change your mind about what you think. And why is that such a bad thing? And I think, in my opinion, that this is really the biggest issue in society, because religion isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and neither is science. So they're going to sit there and duke it out like douchebags. And I'm not talking about all the sciences. I'm talking about dogmatic science. Anything that doesn't fit within the paradigm is thrown out. Science that wants to just say, this is what we know and this is how it is, and it'll always be this way. Well, discoveries change, and if you're willing to change with the times, you can live a much happier life. I mean, taking the path of least resistance is just naturally obvious. I mean, don't fight it. There's nothing you can do about it. You can fight for your freedom, but you're just treading water. You need to float. The person with the life preserver, a good trained swimmer, knows to lay on your back and float. If you keep holding your arms up in the air, you're going to exhaust yourself and you're going to drown. And that's exactly how life is. And this is just through my heart and what I've found. And I'm aware that I'm just one person with my own opinions, and I don't know how to express who I am or anything more than I can do in a video or the feelings I have, and you know, I can never convey or prove anything about what I believe or know. And that's the beauty of it. And the beauty of it is that each one of us has our own idea of what reality is. A person who tells you they had a religious experience and that they talked to God or Jesus came to them, they're just one person. And the beauty is that they'll never be able to prove it to you. They'll never be able to prove to you that they had that experience. You'll have to take their word for it. And then you have to question the ability of their brain to process what they did, what they saw. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's the same thing with anybody who says they saw something. A person says they saw a UFO. People might be like, well, you know, that's great, cool. You're not going to, you know, not a lot of people are, you know, only a certain amount of people. If you know a person really well and they say, I saw a UFO, you might be like, damn. But if they're a UFO watcher and they really saw a UFO, you could be like, oh yeah, whatever. Or you could be like, well, this person knows what they're talking about. Point being that it doesn't matter. Even if you saw a UFO yourself or you saw Jesus, the next day you would question yourself, because that's what we do as humans. And we wonder if we were hallucinating, and then we develop excuses for what we saw. So with that said, as a society, we'll never be able to prove anything to one another. I'll never be able to tell you that I'm happier than I'll never be able to prove to you that I'm happier with the belief in basically, you know, the earth consciousness. I can never prove that to you or explain it to you. And you can't explain to me how you really feel, like the true inner feelings of each person. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with seeing what works for society as a whole. So there's no person that's ever going to be able to come to one of us, I guess, and change our minds about something if we're aware that people are corrupt. People's minds are corrupt, not in a bad way, but corrupted by society, corrupted by lust, greed, expectations of what we desire and what we deserve. I mean, we think that we are entitled as a society, and especially in America. And it's offensive because people from all around the world, you know, are always posting comments on YouTube and elsewhere like, you Americans this, you Americans that. And it does offend me, because that's such a generalized view. But then again, it just proves that the person who said that is just as misinformed about America as Americans are about themselves or the rest of the world. I think America's a great place to live, and we have a lot of knowledge, and a lot of us are very intelligent and well aware of what's going on in the world. And there are a lot of well-spoken, well-rounded people out there that will share their thoughts, but people in the middle like us can't express ourselves to one another. And whenever you come out in public and tell a person, I might try to slip something out like, yeah, I'm into philosophy, or I'm into the deeper meanings of life, and people are like, oh, that's cool. And that's it, nobody wants to hear about it. If a person says that to me, I'd be like, oh, what are you into, and I don't find like-minded people. I just don't, and that's okay. But it makes me confident that they are out there because I meet them on YouTube, and that's why I do these. But the whole idea to me is just preposterous that atheism and religion will ever coexist on any level. So they both need to be abolished, and we need to start over with a new belief system, something that works for everyone. And that'll never happen as far as I can see, because we're still stuck on this modern day binge, and it'll fade. It's just that society's picking up pace. Time is relative. It means nothing. And time is something we use to express the passing of events. When people tell you, when you say, oh, time's speeding up, they say, oh, that happens when you get older. Well, how do you know that time isn't speeding up faster as you get older than when your parents got older? I mean, it's all relative, just like the other shit. You don't know what the other person really feels. You can't explain to another person what time is. There's no way to say it except for the passing of events. I mean, or things age, things fall apart. But, that's kind of like the whole chaos of life. Like they say that things fall apart and things eventually degrade. But things also come together and they create. How do you explain that? If the universe was just created, and this is why, I guess, I don't know, this is why I don't believe in God in the religious sense. I believe in God in the Gaian sense, because this whole shit about God made the earth in 7 days is all symbolism. Or made the earth in 6 days, and then on the seventh he rested. He was done, right? Well, the earth is self-perpetuating. So you can create the earth, but the earth's still creating itself at all times. So he's still working, right? I mean, that means the whole thing is still perpetuating itself. It's a constant state of God, everything. And once people get over that and get past the whole idea that God is this being in the sky, and start to realize that God is in every single particle everywhere around us, and that's just my belief, and I can't, just like I said, I can't prove that to anybody. I can't express it. Can't do it. So where does that leave us as a society? What do? We can get all pissed off about it, and we can argue. And going back to the whole Sam Harris thing, the atheists are usually very educated, well-spoken people. But the fact that they're out there, promoting atheism some of those times, or doing debates, shows, it shows that they have drive, they have desire, and they really believe in what they believe. And I think that's great. But what it is it's pointless to me. It doesn't make any sense. It's just like, but I can see why, they come together, just like religions do, is because they're sick of religious people, and their organizations and whatnot. So I'm sure the atheists will attain tax-exempt status too as a group eventually. I mean, we've got these institutions for just about everything, and they're all failing. The churches are failing, schools are failing, government's failing, and I'm an idealist. I just have a dream that everybody can start over, and within a few generations, just, our kids can just pull the plug on these, pull the plug on everything, reformat our system, I mean, there's no excuse for it. We have the manpower to do what we need. And people say, well, our society, we can't afford to do. Can't afford to do what? Can't afford to make more farmland instead of building more houses, or to start to, do something about our population situation, because it's out of hand, and people don't want to face it. They get really offended when you say, oh, we're overpopulated. And I know there's enough food to feed more people, but not that many more, only up to 10 million right now, and the farmland is diminishing as we speak. So it's really irresponsible for people that go out and have 10 kids, and it's not productive. I mean, the Mormons are just polluting the environment, no offense, but they're a bad example of where society is going wrong, because we should know that how fast things multiply if you have 10 kids and they have 10 kids. I mean, come on. So anyway, that's it goes with a lot of folks and with a lot of situations. It's just that we don't know. We're not aware of it, of what we're doing right now, and we need to control ourselves, control our growth. But the thing is, we actually have the manpower to change the whole situation and turn it, all around. We have the manpower to, I mean, like I was talking about soccer the other day and how much I hate it because of the money they're spending, billions of dollars to build this huge stadium for, the World Cup, and it will just be left aside and never used. They're bulldozing like 150,000 people out of their homes, and it's sad. But it proves that if man had the will, we could take our manpower and do something with it productive, instead of bulldozing those shacks to make a stadium, make a goddamn farmland instead of condos, and put people in new houses, smaller houses, more affordable, nice square homes, nice simple square homes with sloped roofs, a ranch style house. I mean, they're simple to build. You don't have to have these elaborate, I mean, I know that sounds extreme, but everything we do, impact society. Houses with a lot of ornate features and bullshit that you never even look at because you're on the inside. It's just a status symbol. It's a way to say, look at me, look at what I have. You don't have to have a huge house if you're one person or two people. It makes no sense. It's a waste of energy, and it's just an image thing. And it's just like the folks who drive cars. I thought about it on the way to work today, and I thought, people who drive cars also have you can judge a person by their car. And I thought, you can't judge people. You shouldn't judge people by their car. And I thought, well, people want to be judged by their car. And this doesn't